Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we like to blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on all the latest in technology and gadgets.
Yeah, we try to keep things like fun and approachable here, but we also know you guys follow this stuff so we can get into the nitty-gritty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this week we did our deep dive into a whole stack of reports. Uh, the kind that make your eyes glaze over.
Oh, yeah.
But we pulled out like the really interesting stuff, the things that we think you'll find thought-provoking, maybe even a little surprising.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. So what are we diving into today?
Well, we've got kind of a mix of how AI is being used to shape like information access on a global scale, and then also some very practical updates that are hitting devices you probably use every single day.
I like it. Okay, let's kick things off with something that I think is pretty significant. AI and censorship in China. That's a combination that kind of raises some eyebrows, right?
It does. Yeah, there was a recent leak that gave us a glimpse into China's development of a large language model that's specifically trained to flag content that their government considers sensitive.
So basically they're training the AI to know what they don't want people to see.
Exactly. And the report suggests that this is meant to like supercharge their censorship capabilities.
Wow.
It's a really powerful illustration of how AI can be used to manage information flow.
It's definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
On a totally different note, though, it seems like opinions might be shifting a little bit when it comes to a potential TikTok ban here in the U.S.
Yeah, that's right. The latest data from the Pew Research Center shows a decrease in support for a ban. So back in 2023, about half of Americans were in favor of it, but the recent survey puts that number way lower at just 34%.
That's a big drop.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of interesting to see how public sentiment can change that quickly on issues like this.
Definitely a moving target.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears to something that could actually affect you like in your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Google Chrome just pushed out a major security update.
Yeah, they did. Google patched a really critical vulnerability in Chrome for Windows users. The vulnerability is identified as CVE 2025-2783.
Okay.
Now, if you're not a cybersecurity expert, basically a CVE number is a standardized ID for a known security flaw.
Got it.
And what makes this one so important is that hackers were already exploiting it before the fix was released.
Oh, wow.
So if you use Chrome on a Windows machine, you really need to make sure you've updated to the latest version. It's not just a good idea, it's essential.
Yeah, consider that your public service announcement for the day. Okay, let's talk about something a little less urgent, but still very tech-related. It looks like Amazon is trying to make online shopping even more AI-powered.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about their new interests feature.
Yes.
So with interests, you can just like describe what you're looking for in plain language.
Okay.
And then Amazon's AI uses these large language models to translate that into searches within their inventory.
Interesting.
It kind of makes you wonder if their regular search bar is just not doing the trick anymore. One of the reports we were looking at even joked about whether Amazon should have just focused on improving their basic search function.
Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this next one is a little bit of a head-scratcher, AI for changing your accent.
Yeah, so an audio startup called Crisp has launched this beta feature for Indian users that uses AI to make their accents sound more American during calls.
Seriously.
Yep. The company says that it's helping their sales professionals close more deals, which, I guess you can see the logic there, but it also feels a little bit weird.
It does. It kind of makes you think about like identity and the pressures of globalization and all that.
Yeah, it's definitely raising some eyebrows.
Okay, let's move on to the financial side of the tech world. We've seen some pretty big funding announcements lately.
We have a digital banking startup called Mercury just secured a huge $300 million funding round, and that's pushed their valuation up to a whopping $3.5 billion.
That is whopping.
And to put that into perspective, their valuation was only $1.62 billion back in 2021.
So they've more than doubled in just a couple of years.
Exactly. It shows that investors are still really confident in the fintech space.
Absolutely. And it's not just funding rounds. Some companies are totally changing their whole strategy when it comes to venture capital.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with Tusk Venture Partners?
So they're actually shifting away from raising those traditional venture funds, and they're moving towards becoming an equity for services firm.
Interesting.
Their co-founder, Bradley Tusk, said that he thinks VC has been dead for 4 years.
Wow. It's a pretty bold statement.
It is. It really shows you how much the VC landscape is changing right now and the challenges that they're facing.
Okay, well, dead is certainly one way to put it. Now, this next bit of news has some pretty serious potential national security implications.
Yeah.
What's the story with SpaceX and these allegations about Chinese investment?
There are reports that SpaceX, which is Elon Musk's company, may have created a backdoor that allowed Chinese investors to get shares in the company.
Oh.
Yeah, and because SpaceX is a major government contractor and Musk is interacting with the White House more and more, you can see why this is raising a lot of national security concerns.
Absolutely. It's a
Yes.
sensitive situation for sure.
Yeah, it is. The possibility of outside influence in a company that's so strategically important is going to be under a lot of scrutiny.
Okay, let's move on to something a bit lighter. It seems like Rivian, which is known for its electric vehicles, is branching out a bit.
They are. They're actually getting into the micromobility market with a brand new spin-out startup.
What does it even mean, micromobility?
Think like e-scooters and e-bikes, things like that.
Okay, got it.
And this new venture has already secured a pretty impressive $105 million in funding from Atiz Ventures.
Wow.
This actually ties back to an idea that Rivian's CEO, RJ Scaringe, had about adapting their EV technology for smaller, more affordable types of vehicles.
Makes sense. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with in that space.
Definitely. The whole urban mobility landscape is changing so rapidly.
And speaking of change, AI is finding its way into all sorts of fields, even education. So how's it being used to deal with the whole plagiarism problem?
So there's this AI edtech startup called Brisk, and they've developed a tool that helps teachers spot plagiarism that was created by AI.
Oh, wow. So AI fighting against AI.
Exactly. And it seems like this technology is really gaining some traction because the company just got $15 million in funding.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and as these AI writing tools keep getting better and better, it's becoming more and more important to have ways to identify when they're being misused in academics.
Definitely. It feels like it's this constant cycle of innovation and then having to come up with ways to deal with the consequences of that innovation.
It really is. It's a fascinating time to be following all this.
For sure. Okay, so we've been hearing a lot about OpenAI and Google kind of leading the charge in AI research.
Yeah.
But it looks like Microsoft wants in on that action too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Microsoft is jumping into this deep research AI movement that we're seeing from those other companies.
Right.
They're planning to add their own reasoning AI model into their Copilot chatbot. And get this, they're introducing researcher and analyst functionalities.
So it's like a chatbot that can actually think for itself.
In a way, yeah. It's a step towards AI that can do more than just generate text. It's about AI that can analyze and reason through information in a much deeper way.
That's pretty incredible. The things that these models are capable of just keeps growing.
It's amazing.
Okay, so shifting gears completely, it sounds like AI is even helping us uncover valuable resources that are hidden underground.
It is. Earth AI's algorithms have been incredibly successful at finding these important mineral deposits in Australia. And get this, these deposits were overlooked by traditional mining methods for decades. The startup's founder, Roman Tesluk, made this really interesting point. He said that the actual real frontier in mining is not so much geographical as it is technological.
That's kind of a mind-blowing statement.
It really is. It highlights how AI can completely revolutionize industries that have been around for a really long time.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about something that many of our listeners probably use on a daily basis, the Apple Watch. It's getting a new alarm feature.
Yep. In the upcoming watchOS 11.4 update, you'll be able to set your alarms to sound even when your watch is in silent mode.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah, right now, silent mode only gives you a vibration, so this could be super useful if you charge your watch near your bed and might not feel it but still want to be woken up by an audible alarm.
It's a small change, but definitely practical one.
Absolutely.
Now, this next piece of news is a bit of a throwback. Napster is making a comeback. Didn't that die out like way back in the dial-up internet days?
Yeah, but the brand is being revived. Napster was actually acquired by Infinite Reality, IR, for $207 million.
Wow, I had no idea people were still interested in Napster.
Well, IR says they want to expand and reimagine Napster. Their focus is on giving artists new ways to make money from their work and connect with fans using things like immersive technology and AI tools.
It's interesting that they're bringing back a name that's so associated with a very specific era of the internet.
It is. It'll be interesting to see if they can capture any of that nostalgia in today's music streaming world.
For sure. Okay, back to the present and the future. OpenAI has been doing some really impressive work with its image generation technology. What's the latest there?
So they've updated GPT-4o, and it's now generating much more realistic images. They've made some major improvements in rendering text within images and following complex instructions, and they've also made it easier to make edits back and forth.
So it's like having a conversation with the AI about what you want the image to look like.
Exactly. And importantly, GPT-4o has replaced DALL-E 3 as the default image generation model in ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And it's available at different subscription levels, including the free version.
Yeah.
They've even used feedback from real people to refine the model's capabilities.
Wow. So basically, even more convincing, AI-generated images are now super accessible to everyone.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is. Okay, what about Google's competitor in this area, their Gemini model?
So Google has released an experimental version of Gemini 2.5 Pro, and they're saying it's a huge advancement in AI capabilities, especially in its ability to think through difficult problems.
Okay.
It's apparently performing really well on benchmarks for coding, math, and science, and it's even at the top of the LM Arena leaderboard, which is a popular way to compare large language models.
Which is like the valedictorian of AI models.
Basically, yeah. And on top of all that, it has this massive context window of 1 million tokens.
1 million tokens.
Yeah, you can think of tokens as like the basic units of text that the AI processes. And
Right.
1 million is a huge amount. It means that it can understand and work with a ton of information at once.
Wow, that's like an AI with a superpower.
It kind of is. And the best part is that this experimental version is available for free in Google AI Studio.
So they're just giving this incredibly powerful technology away.
It seems that way. Yeah, it's a really interesting strategy.
Okay, so it sounds like we have these amazingly powerful AI models coming out of both the US and China. What's the overall takeaway here? Where's all of this headed?
Well, Li Kai-fu, who's the CEO of O1.ai and used to be the head of Google China, he has a pretty interesting perspective. He thinks that China has really closed the gap with the U.S. when it comes to AI development.
Really?
Yeah, he says it's maybe as little as 3 months behind in certain areas.
That's surprising.
It is. And we're seeing more and more of these open source models being released by big Chinese tech companies like Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu.
So it sounds like the competition is heating up.
Definitely. And it's not just about who has the smartest AI anymore. It's about getting these tools into the hands of people.
Yeah, Sam Altman has even said that building a consumer tech company with 1 billion users might be more valuable than having the most advanced AI model just sitting in a lab somewhere.
Exactly. It's about real-world applications and impact.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all this amazing AI development happening, what are some of the challenges that we need to be aware of?
Well, one growing concern is the impact that all these AI web crawlers are having on online infrastructure, especially the kind that's maintained by communities. Some open source projects are reporting that almost all of their traffic, like 97%, is coming from these bots.
Wow.
Yeah, it's leading to huge increases in costs and making things unstable. And people are having to come up with new tools and strategies to manage all this automated traffic.
It's a reminder that even though AI is advancing so quickly, it's also creating some very real and practical challenges.
It definitely is. It's something to keep in mind as AI becomes more and more integrated into our online world.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into the ever-changing landscape of technology. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
Anytime. It's always fun to explore what's new and exciting in tech.
Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.
See you next time.